Hi YouTube, it's Akilah, obviously, and today I am drinking a Dark and Stormy that Tim made for me and reviewing a book that I read while I had the flu. So I'm just gonna start getting drunk. Oh my god, it's my favorite drink. John Green wrote a book touted as the book that is not the book about kids with cancer, and it is not the book about people named Catherine or about Alaska in any way, shape, or form. Talking about paper towns. Here's the cover. If I was judging the book by its cover, I'd say it's pretty cool, right? Like, you know, like a really giant thumbtack, or I guess it's just really close to a thumbtack. Whatever. It's cool. It's like, look, we're a map and this is the point on it. And it actually becomes important later in the book. Let's talk about some of the characters. Damn, that's fresh. So good. So the main characters in the book are Quentin, who sometimes goes by Q. He is kind of like the most boring person out of all of his friends. His parents are therapists, and he's just kind of like floating through life his senior year of high school. And Quentin's next door neighbor is another main character. Her name's Margo. Margo Roth Spiegelman. And you have to say all three names because that's how it goes in the book. And I read it. Margo is just kind of this like free-spirited girl that he's lived next door to forever. And while they were pretty good friends as kids, they have since stopped being so close. And then there's also just like a few other people, like Quentin's friends, Radar. Thank you, John Green, for having a black person. Like, it really sucks that I have to thank you for that, but like, my God, every book I read of like, the black people haven't been invented yet. And then his other friend, who's actually really funny, and I'm forgetting his name. I'm sure the alcohol isn't helping. That's sort of the people. I feel like their plot is great, but like it's hard to talk about without spoiling a lot. So I'll try to be as abstract as possible, or I'll just be drunk and spoil stuff and you'll get over it. I don't even know how to start. The book begins almost twice, I guess. So the book begins with Quentin and Margo as children, and they experience something hella traumatic, to say the least, together. But then they sort of like, they don't stop being friends because of it, but they definitely don't ever talk about it. The second beginning is, you know, modern day where they are in high school. Margo, sort of an enigma, like just shows up at Quentin's window in the middle of the night and makes him go on an adventure with her. That part of the book is super fun, and it's like an all-night adventure that requires hundreds of dollars, stopping at multiple people's houses and getting revenge. My favorite thing about it is they just use really funny phrasing. They don't necessarily, but Margo does. She says, let me find it. It's in here. I definitely dog-eared it because I knew you guys would care. Where is it? There we go. So Margo uses these like phrases. I feel like Margo and I would be friends as much as you could be friends with Margo, I guess. Which, if you read the book, you'll know what I mean. In this sort of revenge adventure that they're going on, Margo repeatedly says, "We bring the rain down on our enemies," which I think is the best way of summing up what they do. They literally, I mean, they don't literally, but figuratively, they bring the rain on all the people. I am getting toasty because I've been drinking. Crazy stuff happens on this adventure. They end up breaking into SeaWorld, which is amazing. It doesn't last for a really long period of time, but it's cool that like teens would be ballsy enough to do that. Like maybe teens are more adventurous than me, but I know when I was a teenager, I wasn't breaking into anywhere because guess who ends up in jail when they break into shit? Black people. Margo disappears and everybody at school is like, what happened? She leaves from time to time, so like people aren't up in arms as much as you would think they would be, but they are a little like, why is she missing the like last month of senior year? Because, you know, how can you graduate high school if you're literally not there for exams? The book quickly becomes a mystery. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, but Quentin, decides to take it upon himself to find her and enlists his friends who seem a little bit less than interested because none of them are very close with her, and she pulls this shit all the time. But she leaves clues, which is cool. For me, it was kind of like a callback to the days when I was too old to be watching Blue's Clues, but I still did because it came on before school in the morning and like, you're judging so hard right now. She appeared to want people to find her. That part's really interesting, and that's kind of where the thumbtack comes in, and you'll figure that out. I think it's a really strong plot. Objectively, it's a little long. I guess that's kind of the point. Everybody in the book is frustrated with this search, so like you're reading it and you're like, like if this girl doesn't turn up, just like pronounce her dead, just let her go. But he can't let her go. Characters. We already introduced Quentin, and I think what I said about him is pretty much like encompasses who he is. I'll say a few more words about Quentin. This is what happens when I drink. I get all waffly. I'm like, do I want to talk about him? Do I not want to talk about him? I want to talk about him again. Obsessed with Margo because in not having seen her in so many, I mean, I guess, okay. He sees her every day at school, but in not interacting with her on a regular basis has built up this idea of what she really is. And I think everybody in the high school is like, oh no, she's like the popular pretty girl that's like a little bit sassy. And according to the book, I guess curvy. Is she? The movie's coming out, and like, I am curious to see how Cara Delevingne does as Margo, because she's, I mean, you know, I read the book and I was like, oh, this is how I picture Margo. And then Cara Delevingne is just like so tall and skinny, and I'm just like, oh man, is this the same person? So we'll see. I mean, if she's a good actor, I think she'll definitely pull it off, and I would love to see it anyway. Quentin's in love with her, and Margo doesn't really know he exists aside from knowing he has a van and he lives next door and can facilitate this adventure. Margo teaches you that there is more than meets the eye about people. Very popular, pretty, dating popular people. No one really knows what she plans on doing with her life, but that's fine because she's sort of like this, I don't know, I'd say she was a hipster before being a hipster was a thing, so people are just sort of enamored with her alternative lifestyle. You get to learn more about her as the book goes on, and you start to think about like the facades that people have, and also the way we put people on pedestals or assume things about them when we don't really know them at all. Radar, the black guy, Radar, is cool. I don't care if this is a spoiler because it's really effing funny. His parents have the biggest collection of black Santas or the second biggest collection of black Santas and black Santa memorabilia. He's really ashamed of it, and his girlfriend has never been to his house because he's like so embarrassed of the fact that everything in his house is black Santas, which is cool. We had black Santas at my house, but like only at Christmas time. One of them rapped. It was really weird. Like I don't really remember it. I think it was just like Jingle Bells, but he just like had like a hood accent. That's Radar. I'm gonna find this guy. I'm gonna find his name. He's such a douchebag. What's his name? Ben? It's not Ben. Wait, is it Ben? Okay, fine, we'll go back to talking about Radar some more. Radar is super, super smart, and he has created essentially Wikipedia.com as far as the book's concerned, but he's in high school. So it's a thing called Omnictionary. Lord knows if they did it like Where Are They Now of people in paper towns. He's like, sorry guys, I'm Mark Zuckerberg because I'm smarter than everybody and I'm getting my life. I think the friend is Ben. I mean, we're gonna say it's Ben. If it's not Ben, I'm sorry. Ben's a D-bag. Themes, you know, book themes, I would say youth. Of course it's youth, it's a young adult novel, but like youth in the sense that like no one's really planning for like how anything is going to affect them in the future. It's just very relatable. I remember being a teen that was like, whatever, I do what I want. And then like years later being like, oh God, why did I do those things? But maybe they won't regret it, who knows? The criticisms that I've come across of this book are just that people think that Margo Roth Spiegelman is a manic pixie dream girl because she is extremely interesting and full of life and exciting, and Quentin is kind of like this bland vanilla character that's like, his whole life is about her because he's got nothing going on. In that, I would argue, not the case, because we learn a lot more about Margo. In fact, I think this book challenges the notion that we can put people, you know, or like place our own expectations on other people, like when we hardly know them. And I think it's great that they do it in this book in particular, just because John's audience is so young. Just cool, stay young, live your dreams. Prom's a big theme in this book. Oh man, I should do a video about prom. I will. It was not good for me. We got plot, we got characters, we got alcohol. Orlando. Oh, the title. I am drinking. Okay, we'll go back to the title. titles, paper towns. And I was like, what does that mean? I don't know what a paper town is. And you get to find out what a paper town is. I don't want to tell you what it really is because it spoils it, but also you have that thing called Google and you could just look it up right after you're done, just right after you're done watching. Margo describes Orlando as a paper town, and for her, a paper town is a place where all the people and places and things and sites are very cheap, one-dimensional, and not fulfilling. And so she describes Orlando as a paper town, says she wants to leave. Quentin's kind of a sad sack, but he finally grows a pair by the end of the book and he's like, oh, I get it. Like, I should maybe have anything going on in my own life. This person is not who I think they are. And as much as I still love and admire them, I must realize that I hardly know this girl. Would I recommend the book? I would recommend this book. I think young boys, like young men, should read this book. More so than like the female characters. It's really like a message that just they're not getting. I've said it a million times already, I think, but it could also be the alcohol. Putting another person on a pedestal is typically something that boys do to women, and then they're very let down, and then relationships go and it's like awful. I think it's a good message. I enjoyed reading it. I was sick for like 5 days and it didn't take me the full 5 days. Like, I know how to read. It was a good way to spend the time. So like if you're on a flight or like going to the beach, doctor's appointment, know how to read this book. Why not? But you don't have to take my word for it. I'm getting lit off of like a drink, but whatever. I think it's a good book, and high school, am I right? Bye. These ice cubes are plastic. I thought they were real ice cubes this whole time. I'm like, wow, they don't melt.